Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, we work on Django apps, and I'm going to continue on that tonight. We're going to continue on the Stripe-hosted checkout flow that I've been adding to the app, and this night, we're going to add the success and cancel pages that the flow expects to redirect back to your site. So we're going to connect those into our Stripe-hosted checkout session and get everything wired up and celebrate the success of someone joining the service. So hopefully you'll stick around, and if you enjoy the content, please give a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. That helps with the YouTube. And I want to thank the folks that support me on Patreon at patreon.com/mblehman. So thanks to my patrons of Rupert and Steve, Abdulaziz, Patrick, Eric, and Philip. Thank you all so much for supporting me. It helps cover all the costs of things I try and do for the community, like podcasts and such. So we're going to get into this tonight, and hope you'll stay around. Let's look at the code. I've been working on this project to get a Stripe-hosted flow into my application. So Stripe will do a lot of the work for managing a checkout page where you can direct them to the Stripe website, and they will show your products and the prices, and people can enter their credit card information. And then once they've done all that, they can send you back to your own website and let people access your services, whatever they happen to be. So I've been working on that Stripe session stuff so far, and there are bits that remain undone that need to be connected. So let's start and take a look at the areas that I have left to do, and I've left them as to-do comments in my gateway, which is a pattern that sometimes get used to separate a third-party service, in this case Stripe, from the rest of my application. So when I'm interacting with Stripe, I'm actually doing it through methods that I've wrapped around Stripe APIs. And this allows me to smooth out any differences between my app and, in some crazy future where I switch payment providers, which I guess is possible, it would in theory be easier to do. I'd change the gateway and keep the same APIs, although I imagine that a lot of these APIs are so tailor-made to Stripe that probably doesn't make as much sense in this case, but it's a pattern that at least allows me to wrap up some of those details. So what I have to do for my site now is I've already got this session capability, and if you followed along in previous streams, we've been able to take the session and connect it and go over to Stripe and then fill out payment information. I've got all that working. But what needs to happen is the after. So after a user has actually put in their payment details, where are they going to go? And the way that works with Stripe is you tell it where it's going to go. You tell it a success URL and you tell it a cancel URL. And right now, neither of those things exist, and I need to make them. So I'm thinking about making a couple of template views, a success page and a cancel page that will slot right into what Stripe expects, and we can pass that off and then continue on. And then I guess I have a last to do in here. I don't know that we're going to get to it this evening, of what to do when there's actually trial information still going on. One of the aspects of my application is that there is a very generous 60-day trial to really get people involved and invested, because it's a homeschool application, and that takes some time to know if you want to commit to that. So I need to factor in, if I start a subscription, when does the user actually get billed for the first time? And I need to make sure that logic is there. And the way to do that was with some other subscription data that you can add into the session stuff. But that's for down the road. Tonight, though, it's going to be focused on these template views initially, and we'll probably end up spending most of our time putting them together, making something that looks decent, and then checking it all out and seeing that the session actually works and it directs you to the right places. That's the plan. So if you want to, you can chat with me. You can ask me anything about Python or Django or web development. That's what I'm here for. And I'm happy to field those questions as best I can. But otherwise, we'll be working on Stripe stuff. So let's get to it. The place to start is, where is these pages going to live? They're template views, so they're not very complex, but they do still need to live somewhere. And I think I've been kind of grouping all of this stuff, all of these URLs sort of together. In the place that kicks off this page is a subscriptions page that sends users, it shows users the options of, do you want to sign up for monthly or annual? And I think I'm going to hang off more URLs off of that subscription stuff. So we'll create a success page first. And I'm thinking it will go in the subscription URL file. So let's find that subscription. And we're going to create a new view in here. So you can see I've already got a couple views that kick all this stuff off. But we need a third view. So the next view to create is, we'll take this one here, and I'm trying to think if these are, what kind of view this is going to be. I think it's just going to be a template view, so it's not going to be terribly complex. So we'll use the name success. So this will end up being subscription/success, and that's where they'll come back to if everything went well. And we'll call it success as the view name. And because you can see above, it is namespaced to subscriptions. And so right now I'm going to make up a view name. So we'll say success view, and then we'll say I'll pretend that this exists, which it's going to be a class-based view. So we have to say as view. So none of that exists, and my editor is complaining that, hey, this doesn't exist yet. So what are you doing? So now it's time to actually go to the accounts views where all of this stuff is coming from and create a view that we can start using. So here we are in the views file, and the first thing we want to do is import a template view. And I forget where template view comes from. I think it's generic. Import Django views generic. Okay. So we have up in this area, we have Django views, and so we want from Django views generic import template view, and we don't have that used yet. That's okay. The next thing we want is to have an actual template view. So we'll create the view, cloud success view, as I named it below. It's going to inherit from the template view, and we need to give it a template name to actually use to show this page. So what name should I give it? I think I've been putting these templates in accounts. Yeah. So we'll put it in accounts. Whoops. So we'll say accounts and success HTML. That should be enough to get started. And that should also be enough to make the URLs file down here happy, no longer giving me an error message from my editor. So I want to, rather than fire up the web server and go look at this, I'd rather start from a test case, because that will be easier to shake out the errors that then we can go work from it after that. So we're going to go to the accounts test views file where I have tests for this stuff. And we want to, what do we want to do? We kind of want to steal from this. This is close enough. So we have this view here, and we're going to rename the view, or sorry, we have a test case. We're going to rename the test case to test success view. So that'll be our test case. And then we need to change the actual URL path to go to, which is now subscription success. So that's the first test. And the other test that we want to do is, I only want this to appear for people who are authenticated. It doesn't make any sense for someone who is not authenticated to go there. So that's what that first test is for. And then the other test is following the same pattern. And I don't even think we need to assert on anything yet. We might want to do that later, but we've got this get check 200 helper method from Test Plus, the Django Test Plus tools, and that should be enough. So we need to change this to success. And this first test should pass. No, it won't. We'll see why in a second. So it's going to say template doesn't exist. So it rendered that, and it shouldn't have even rendered that. What it should have done is a redirect, because this is a view that we only want accessible to someone who is authenticated. So I'm missing a mix-in, which is basically what's happening. So if we search for template views, we'll find an example. So there's a login required mix-in. Here's an example right here. And we want to find where that's from. It's from the auth mix-ins. So let's come up to the top, and we're going to add from Django contrib auth mixins import login required mixin. And mixins are something that you use with like class-based views as a way to add extra functionality to them. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So we put them, you put mixins in front of the thing you're trying to inherit. That has to do with the Python inheritance hierarchy. You can go study more about why you want to put them there. I'm not really going to get into that tonight. But now we should have enough to actually return to our test, wherever it may be. It's right here. And now this test should pass. Because the login required mixin is interjecting and saying, nope, you actually are not an authenticated user, so we're going to redirect you to the login page. And that's what this test does. This actual assert login required tests that very narrow thing, and that's part of test plus. Here's the other one though, and this one's going to fail. In ways that I expect, it's going to fail because we don't have a template yet. So I said it's a template view, and I made up a template name, and we don't have a template. So we need to create that. Let's go do that. I think we don't need anything else for this view right now. I don't know that I need any extra context because it's really just celebrating like, ooh, you did it. Congratulations. Thanks for signing up for School Desk, which is the name of my service. So I think that might be all the view code. So let's go to the accounts subscription index, which is the other file that we have. And actually, while I'm here, I'm going to just take all of its content and we'll create our new file. And what do I want to call this? Let's give it a more specific name than just success, because that's very generic. And we'll say subscriptions success, because this is one of these URLs that lives under subscription URLs. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. There's no real rhyme or reason for picking this particular name. And yeah, we've got our title that we haven't added yet. We can delete everything in here, and we don't need any of this JavaScript. That's all for the Stripe checkout. So really, I think we have everything that we need for the view at this point. Oop, what did I do? Oh, I gave it the wrong name. Okay, well, mess that up. Let's go to the view file and not just call it success. We'll call it, like I just actually named it, subscription success. This is why tests are important. I would have fired up the server and it wouldn't have worked and it'd be all confused. All right, so hopefully you saw it didn't drop the frame there. It actually did pass. So we have an empty thing that we can show the success page, and we can navigate to it directly right now. And let's do that. Let's see what it looks like. It should just be an empty page. There should be nothing super interesting about it. It'll be something that we need to go add to. So we're waiting for the web server to fire up, and there it is. And we'll go to 5000, where my local web server is running. And now we can navigate directly to it because there's no links to this. So it's subscriptions, success, and that's where we end up. So let's chat about what I want to put on this page. It's meant to be a page to, I don't know, close the loop on what somebody has just done. And thinking about the context of this flow, they've just gone and said, yes, I'm ready to pay for School Desk. I think it's valuable. Great. Here's my credit card information, and Stripe is sending them back. That's what we're trying to consider here. So I think I want to say something. It's probably going to be more of a thank you, or we hope you use the service, or I don't really know what's best, but I think I want to encourage people and tell them that I'm appreciative, because the service is very much by me, and I use that in the marketing and in the copy, that it's done by an individual, and I'm not some nameless company. But at the same time, it's not really about me. It is about the fact that they are now a member of the service and will get all the benefits in to them. So I need to highlight that as well. And so I'm thinking it'll be I don't want to go complex here. I probably want to put some big celebratory kind of image here, something party themed, or I don't know. We'll find something that seems like a good fit, and then a little bit of wording below it, and then probably a single call to action button of "Great, you did it. Now return to your school year," or something. Something along those lines to say, we recognize that you paid for this, great, but you're here to do stuff, so let's let you get back to it, because that's what people really, I wanted them to get back to the value that they're getting out of the service. So let's say, as the title, thank you for joining. I don't know, that seems good enough. And if I refresh, you can't see that, I know, because it blocks the bar. So let me drag this down for a second. So there it is. Hopefully you can see this now. It says, thank you for joining. And yep, that's probably good enough there. Now let's go find some kind of image that we could use for this. So I've been using, well, I'm drawing a blank on it. Where are those images from? Not Heroic Zondicons, that's where I get my icons from. Unsplash. Undraw. There it is. Unsplash is for like free stock photos. Undraw is for the vector art that I've been using. So we've got Undraw, the service from Katarina, I'll give her credit, Katarina Limpentsuni. Can never pronounce her name, but she has all this like really great vector graphic art that you can customize a little bit with some color matching here stuff. So if we find the appropriate image, then we change the color to match the color scheme for my application, and then download it and add it to the app. It's a pretty awesome service. So if you've never checked it out, I'll drop a link in the chat, and you can go view it and peruse it for yourself and see if there's stuff in there that you can find value out of. So let's try searching for something celebratory, like a party. I don't know, that seems like a good start. This seems like a very downer party. Somebody is kicking a balloon. I don't know. That one doesn't work. That one's a bit much for party kind of atmosphere that this is supposed to be celebrating. I don't want to dwell on like kind of college parties or adult parties. That's not really what it's for. It's more about like, this is about schooling, so it's really not geared for that. Let's keep looking. Let's see what else we can find. So this one's kind of silly, but I don't think I really want. The imagery that I've been using so far have been more of these generic people images. I don't think I want to diverge from that with having these. I mean, they're kind of cute little characters that she's made, but that's not what I'm after. This seems interesting in a way, but it's kind of distant, of these people celebrating under fireworks. So let's see if we can change our term. Maybe this. I don't know. Online party. I'm not really sure. We'll keep searching. We'll say celebrate. See what comes out. If this was a mobile app, this might be a good one, of order confirm. That's somebody like jumping up and down with big check marks. That feels kind of good. I've actually used this celebration image before, so I'm not sure. I could reuse it. That wouldn't be a bad thing. But I did this one. I used this one when people finish the onboarding steps. It's the last thing that they see after they've filled in all the information. So they might, I don't know. I'll keep looking, but if we don't find anything, that might be a good one. What else can we see? This one's kind of cool. Winners. I don't want to convey that they're done. So from my perspective, this is like finish line, like I'm actually making money off of somebody, so that it kind of feels good for me, but that's not the image that I think I need to use there. And all right, that's what they got there. So celebrate. So this one is interesting. Winners. Maybe would use that. I suppose there are any others that in here that order confirmed is kind of good. Again, it's not a mobile app though, so I'm not sure it's the best fit. All right. So let's see if we can, let's try win. I might just give that 1. I was wondering if that would get anything else interesting. Okay, what else could we try? Birthday, maybe there's something along those lines. We've already tried party. I don't know, I think I'm kind of liking that winner one. It's like people are excited. They feel like they've won something cool. Maybe they discovered something. This feels pretty good. So let's come in here and let me get, I can never remember the brand color, which I probably should learn at some point. But we can inspect this to find out the color and use the color picker. And it's 2B6CB0. We come up here and drop in 2B6CB0. And this, I don't know, this site is so slick. All of the images change to what you got here. And suddenly it's a blue trophy instead of that purple trophy. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So now I want to download this image, and it's got undraw winners. So that's what our image is. And before I actually add it to my project, I run it through an image optimization thing that takes out any extra stuff that might be in there. And I feel like these have gotten better recently with optimization, like any extra bytes that were unnecessary. But I do one of these passes just to check on it. So Image Optim, if you're on a Mac, is a really great piece of software. So I go to downloads, do this. Yeah, it's pretty much already optimized. So I got a little bit more out of there. It's only 44K. So a pretty small thing. It's actually for an SVG that's actually pretty big, but you can see there's actually a lot going on in that image, so I'm not too surprised. Okay, so we can put Image Optim away. And now we can come over to the repository and we can move the file from the downloads area. So undraw was winners. And we're going to move it into the static directory. And I've got all the static directories at this, or all the SVG files at the top level in the static directory. I may clean that up someday. Today is not that day. So we'll just say winners.svg. Now we have access to this new thing, and now we're ready to use it in the template. Let's start the web server again, get that going in the background, and we want to load in the static template, and I want to look for image somewhere because I've already got good examples of this stuff. So let's just throw something in there really quickly, and we'll clean this up in a bit. So it's winners.svg, and this div isn't going to make much sense right now, but I just want to see what comes out. I'm guessing it'll take up the whole screen. We're about to find out. I'm going to turn flux. I don't need to see this in good color anymore. That did nothing. Loading. Well, where'd it go? Is that actually in there? Winners? New? I did save it. What's going on? When? This is the subscription success template. Oh, haha. Check this out. I put it in just the wrong spot. I put it between the blocks, not actually in the block. So it's my fault. All right, try again. There it is. Great. So now we've got a couple of people celebrating. It's obviously not in the right spot yet. So let's fix that up. I think this page is going to be pretty simple. It doesn't need to be a complex layout. It's going to be a single column. And I already have a similar page with the About page that is a single column thing. And so I'm going to steal from that. It looks like I'm doing that by doing an MX auto, so margin auto to enforce it. And then size look like I'm constraining it with this 1/2 here, and I don't really want to do that. So let's move that. So we've got this nice big image now that is taking up the maximum width of extra large. And that looks a little big, to be honest. So let's try reducing it down to large. Yeah, that's probably good. And then we could say what? Maybe we use the same text that we used in the title in the top. So let's add an H1 and say thanks. Thank you for joining. So that's probably about as much as I want to like focus on myself. We've got this. We need to style it. And actually, I probably should have used this one. Because this one's already pre-styled. And so that will match with the rest of the theming. So we've got that there. It definitely needs some padding or some margin. So I usually like to go to the element above and push things down rather than trying and anticipating what's above you. I guess it doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent, and I don't even know that I am consistent, but I attempt to be consistent sometimes. And so by saying margin bottom 8 on the image, it'll push down the text. So we've got that there. And the other challenge here is I don't actually know that we're wanting this to be centered. So we might need to, let's delete that part. And it's probably going to move. Well, maybe I do want it to be centered. Or maybe I want the H1 to be centered, but not some of the other stuff. Like when I have the copy below it, I think it's going to look weird if all the copy is centered. It depends on how much we say. So let's start for now with the assumption that we want that to be centered and then put the words underneath it. And now we'll add some actual like body copy. And so I'll take from here. It's already got some base styling that I got from the About page, so I don't think I need to style the actual P tags, which you can see from the About page. I didn't need to do that. I will need to add a margin on it if I have multiple paragraphs, but we'll start here and say, what can we say? We're so glad that what am I trying to get? What theme am I trying to get across? I'm trying to say something to the effect of, glad you think this is valuable enough to use, and we hope you're super successful with it. So we're so glad that you've joined School Desk. And I'm also debating, do I want this to be like a personalized message for me, signing like personally thanking them, or recognize that it's a more of a community-minded thing? That's where so I'm not sure about the language of we. I don't know if I need like a super common voice there, but I don't know. These are the thoughts that I'm trying to talk through this out loud. Writing copy while streaming is challenging, so hopefully y'all can bear with me there. And let's see, comma, and we hope that School Desk serves your school well. Let's start with that, see what it looks like. First thing I'm going to do though is get the real quote mark. I'm using straight quotes because that's what they're easy to type, but when in reality I want to use real quotes, quote marks. What is that going to look like? We're so glad that you joined. The other thing I'm noticing is that this is lining up with the image width, but it feels, I don't know that I want it to. So let's try maybe constraining the, let's take this div tag that's not doing anything right now and move it down. And let's try setting a max width of medium on the actual text. See what that does. Ooh. And then I guess I need another MX auto if I'm going to make that fill in the gaps. There we go. Otherwise it would just hang over to, well, from your point of view, this side. I was not a stage person, so what is that? Stage right, stage left? I don't know. That's not what I know much about. And so we've got that. It's a very simple message. I don't think it needs to be complex. This is kind of just a fun little page. And maybe then we have a button that says like back to school, or go back to school, return to your school. That feels kind of good. So where can we get that from quickly? Button. I guess any number of pages would have it. How about the school detail page? Well, that's going to be an actual button, isn't it? Well, here's one. Okay. Let's try that. We'll drop it in to inside of the smaller area. And then this URL is not going to work if I tried it right now. So let's just take this out and put in hash mark and say, go back to your school year. What does that look like? Ooh, rough. Okay, so we need some margin on the paragraph. So class equal, let's say another MB8, give it plenty of breathing room. That puts it there. And the other thing is this is, it's an anchor tag, which means it's not a block element, not a block level element, I think. So we wrap it in a div and then put an MX auto on that. I think that'll have the effect that I want. I want the button to be centered, basically. Whoops. Did not do what I want, so I did something wrong. Maybe oh. Try that. There it is. Okay, cool. go back to your school year. Hey, Kohatlim, welcome back. Thank you for joining in. So tonight, you missed the beginning, but tonight I'm working on the Stripe hosted checkout flow. And there are 2 pages that you have to set Stripe to. So after you create a session, and a session is the place where the user can go and actually like put in their credit card information and sign up for your site. If they successfully sign up and put in their credit card information, they have to send you back to a success page. And if they don't do that, if they cancel or their card is rejected, or I don't know what else Stripe triggers on this, you go to a cancel page. And so right now I'm working on the success page, and then we'll go work on the cancel page, and then we'll test out both of them and see how they go. The cancel page is probably going to be very similar to this whole flow, with maybe like a slightly sad vibe or something like that. I don't know. I kind of want to be a little jokey about it. I use a slight bit of humor to encourage people to reconsider buying it. But we'll get to that in a minute. So they've got their success page. They can click all their regular buttons if they want to. I'm not taking those away. But I also want to have some basic call to action of like their eyes are guided and they say, oh, cool, thanks for joining. Okay, go back to my school year. And so I'm going to link to the same, it's going to be the same exact link that's here in the nav, which is the current, I believe it's called the current school year link or something like that. And that way they'll get redirected to the right place. So we can get rid of this detail page. And what is the URL? I don't actually know. We're going to have to go look it up. It's current school year. Okay, I was right. So we want to resolve this. We want to put in URL and then say schools, because that's the namespace for this, and current school year, and end that. And now it's set to go to the same place, and we can click this, and boom, they're at their current school year. This is not a page that I ever anticipate people having to come back to. I have thought, what am I going to do about people who are renewing their subscription, or so maybe there are some rare circumstances where people might actually return to this page, but generally I'm thinking it'll be you come here and that's it. So this is I think is what I want the page to be for now, and I don't think it needs to be any more complex than this. Frankly, because I don't have anybody yelling at me for saying like this page doesn't make any sense or I don't like it. I think it looks nice and simple, and it does what I need it to. So that's the success URL, which is great. Let's go and wire that up to the actual Stripe gateway, which is the other bit that we have. Oh, thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed that HTMX stuff. It's funny, I wrote that article and then I found a bug. And so I didn't use the exact same code in the article that I used. It was derived from this project. That was the inspiration for it. But as a word of caution, I guess if you're using HTMX, make sure that the stuff that you render is consistent between views. And I'll quickly diverge into that for a second because it was just kind of funny. We can go look at the template that I use. So I have this task list template, or I think I called it. Where is it? Oh, come on. Task. Course tasks. Here it is. So this is the template chunk that I reused for HTMX. So this course task, if we search for this, it gets used in 2 places. One is as course tasks HTML. One is within this HTMX view that was specific just for re-rendering that chunk, like HTMX wants you to do. And then the other one was where it is included in the overall listing page. But the part that I got wrong and bit me, my wife was like, it was a really hair-pulling kind of moment, because the way she described it is she clicked on a link, and the link was one of these links that was supposed to be for this HTMX view, and that link only accepts delete requests. So that was a 405 error page. And so it was super confusing, and I couldn't recreate it at first. And I realized it wasn't possible until after the HTMX content had already like loaded on the page. So what was happening is it was like 2 clicks down. So she took an action to delete a task, and then the page re-rendered with the HTMX stuff, and the link inside of it was then broken. And so she went to like click and then one more click, and to make it even worse, it was like a next URL. So it was like after an action was taken on the next page. So it was even more confusing. And what I found was when I was looking at, and I finally figured out the problem, when I was doing these next URLs, you can see right here, and this was the solution. I had to change it to something more exact. I had request.path or path info or something. I was basically using the current request as the URL to put in the next parameter, and that didn't work when it was for the delete view, because the delete, so the HTML thing would delete, it would look at the request pass when it rendered, and so it was creating more delete links here, and it was just basically a big mess. So watch out that with these request things, because they can bite you. But I'm glad you two enjoyed the article. I appreciate that. All right, where were we? We were looking at Stripe Gateway stuff. Let's get back to that. I know I have this gateway. There it is. So here we are, and I have the URL here. And this is the part where I just for the moment, I had just been dumping in extra stuff. And Stripe actually has information. If you go look at the checkout information, they have this parameter where you literally put it in like this. Well, not exactly this. So this is an F string. So by having the double curly brackets here, you're actually asking for a literal one. So what they want you to put in here is essentially like a template pattern for curly bracket checkout session ID is exactly as you see it right here. And then what they will do is on the Stripe URL, they will use that template string and pass in the actual checkout session ID. You could use that and then look up that information and get some customer information. I don't really care. So that's a feature that I thought I might have used, but I've decided it's not really worth it. So what I need to fill in is the success URL. So the success URL is going to be, what is it going to be? It's going to be the success page. So that's the subscriptions success. So I'll put it in a local variable for now. And that's a reverse on subscriptions success was what I called that view. If I could spell it. Wow. Terrible. I can see typos everywhere. Success, 2 C's, 3 S's. Okay, got it. So there's that. We need the reverse, and that comes from URLs, right? So from Django URLs import reverse. Okay, so there's that bit. And now we need the success URL. So we can say success URL, or actually we don't need another local variable. Let's delete this to-do comment, and then we will take site and leave it as is, and then we will replace and put subscription success right here. Okay, so that should resolve now to the place we want to go. How about this? I don't know if we're actually going to get through the cancel stuff tonight. We might, but rather than go through another template view right away, let's check out the success flow, see if this works, see if it's sending me to the right place, and learn from that. And then if it is, we can come back and fill in the cancel stuff. It also would give you a nice little detour from all of this. So we've got this, and just to make sure we're totally up to date here, I think it probably reloaded just fine, but I just want to be certain. So here is our page, and the page that launches the session itself into Stripe is this page, subscriptions. And I haven't styled this yet. there's a bit of JavaScript code here that links and finds the appropriate product and price. And the price is what is needed to create a session in Stripe. So when I click, I'm going to click probably annual, just because I clicked monthly last time. I want to see something different. It should show the price that I created in Stripe on the Stripe hosted checkout page with the colors that I used and customized for the branding stuff. And then we can fill out the testing details. It'll show that it's pretty clearly in a test mode. And if all goes according to plan, I'm going to try and complete it, see what happens, and yeah, see how that goes. I'll probably be creating some test data in my account that I don't really want, but yeah. So I just clicked the annual button, I think. Maybe I wasn't focused yet. I'm not really sure. I don't know if I'm waiting for a request. Whoops. Nope, got a broken link. Okay, oops, subscriptions. So I was waiting because it was broken. And we would have found that out by running the test for the gateway. I'm just not doing that at the moment. We're doing some integration level testing here. So we're back to here, and this time I'll bring up the DevTools stuff. So it loaded Stripe. Everything's ready to go, I think. Let's click the annual button again. Posting, going to the create checkout session. So that post, when it happens, see, this is where I need a loading spinner or some kind of feedback loop, because people are probably going to start clicking that like crazy. What happened was let's walk it through in case you guys weren't able to attend a previous one. So we've got, whoops, wrong page. Accounts, views. Oh, come on now. Accounts, views. So when I clicked that button, some JavaScript fired this post request to create checkout session. It grabbed the price ID that I'd put in the template, and it checks that it's a valid price ID. That's what actually what the bulk of this view is doing. And then it went to the gateway and said, hey, gateway, I want to create a session for the user and create a session ID for this particular account. Session ID is then returned to the JavaScript, and then in the subscription template, there is another chunk of JavaScript that fires that says, okay, now I've got a session ID. I can redirect the user with a session ID over to the Stripe hosted stuff and then show this page that we're now on, which is all good. So here we are. It is in the right mode. So it's the school desk plan. I had previously called this subscription, so it looked really stupid. So it said subscribe to subscription. I changed that. And you can see we're in the test mode. We've got the branding. This is the colors. It looks a little funny to me because I've got Flux on, but it should be the right colors. Both the primary color here and even the button should be my secondary brand color. The email is pre-filled out. So this is that testing account. And now we need to fill out the details. So Stripe in test mode gives you some test cards that you can fill out. And essentially, it's just a bunch of 42s is one of the success cards. And we can put in, it doesn't really matter, anything should work here. And then 1, 2, 3, I don't think that matters either. None of this other stuff really matters, but we have to fill this out to make the whole form go. So we'll just say Matt Lehman, it's my imaginary card, and I'm in Frederick, which is here. And notice that it said lock. I don't know. Ooh, that was a cool effect. It kind of glowed on me there. I don't know if maybe that makes people click more. I have no idea. So by confirming, you're allowing School Desk to charge your card for this payment and future payments. So if this is real, this is the moment in which somebody would shell out their money to get to the service. And what does this actually do? So the other piece of this that I haven't connected yet is when they click this button, it will create a customer in Stripe. And the Stripe customer is like the primary interface that everything connects to. It should also, the product that I'm creating, I think it will also create a subscription because I'm setting, this is a subscription session checkout. It was something I set when I created the session. So it should create the subscription. It should use this price, and this product price has built into it. You can even see it right here per year. So this is an annual thing. So everything will get set up on the Stripe side, and it'll be set up for recurring billing in the future and all that good stuff. How do I know? How does my app know that this works? That comes with a webhook. So there's a webhook that I get configured, and it is configured to receive any traffic from Stripe. So I tell Stripe, send me stuff here at this URL. And I'm getting actually the webhook from DJ Stripe. So my webhook looks like Stripe webhook is the URL path. And so Stripe will send that information, and it uses a shared secret so that somebody can't just send me random crap that I will have to process. So the hook will be checked. Any data that comes into that thing will be checked that it's actually from Stripe, because there's this shared secret that only I know and have configured in my app, and Stripe has on their side. So then I can process whatever data comes in there. So after creating this button, one of the webhooks that will fire should be subscription checkout complete. It's in this guide in the Stripe documentation. So I'm only at like the first half of this stuff, where I'm actually creating the upfront stuff to actually create the customer. And then I have to do the back half stuff, which is actually what the webhook will do, or what it needs to do on my side, is respond to that information, find the account that is in my data models, in my database, and update that user's account to go from trial to what I have as an active status. And that will permit them to access the site and not get locked out, because I have some stuff that says, if you're still trialing after a certain time period, then you get locked out of the service. So that's not stuff that we're going to get to tonight, but just conceptually, in case you were curious of how this all worked together, that's what should be going on. So I'm hoping that with the work that we just did, that I click this subscribe button, and we will land back at the success page that we just built. We'll see. Processing. I know all those 42s should be good. Check. Boom. And then it's loading. Where are you sending me to? It's coming on. Here we go. I mean, I do still have the web server running, right? What's going on here? That should not have taken that long, I wouldn't think. I'm a little confused. What's taking so long? Worker timeout? Well, that was weird. Oh, okay. All right. Well, in theory, it worked. However, what I failed to do is that I'm just assuming that, in the real production app, this is going to go to HTTPS, and it failed because I needed to go to this HTTP locally. That's kind of annoying. I don't know that I want to fix that, or if it's worth fixing. I think the fact that I saw it come to here, and the only thing wrong with it was HTTP versus HTTPS, feels fine to me. So I think that's a success. Even though it manifested as a failure. Hey, what can you do? Cool. So you saw the flow. It saw it be successful. I can't really, not without perhaps leaking some stuff. I'm sure there's actually now in my test area a subscription and a customer record. I'm going to go check that probably after the stream, make sure that all looks good for this test account. But yeah, that was the success flow. All right, now we're ready to do the cancel flow. The cancel, it was actually a lot more obvious, and in fact, I've used it already. I've seen it on the Stripe side. It's not super interesting to see because there was, I think, only one link that it showed up, and you could just hover over it and you see where it's going to send you. But I still need a cancel page. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So let's return to the test views, I think. Test views. Yeah. And we want the same couple of tests. So we're going to call this, I'm not going to call it like an outright cancel view, because there's going to be a difference between canceling my account, like as a user, versus this canceling is really about canceling the session, canceling the fact that you said you want to sign up for the service. And so I view that as a little different. So I'm going to call this one Stripe cancel to kind of distinguish them. I'm sure there's a better name, but yeah, this is what I'm going with. So we'll call it Stripe cancel as the name there and there. None of that exists yet, so this is going to fail, because it's going to say, I don't know what, there's no reverse here that I can find. Doesn't exist. So now we need to create it. So we'll take this and we'll say Stripe cancel. And I probably should be good and actually document this, because future me is going to be like, what the heck, Matt? So let's say the landing page after the user signs up for school desk. Yeah, that's good. And the return page when a user cancels the request to create a subscription. Man, what a mouthful. And I think that might be too long. All right. And black is doing one of these annoying things where it's going to put a space there, even though this is one of these times it's like, why black? But okay, whatever. Can't ever have everything. Black is mostly a great tool, so I'm not going to knock it too much. So let's say subscriptions, Stripe cancel is what we'll call that. And what do I want to do this time? Well, that's the view. I guess we need to go and wire in the URL, which is going to be in the subscription URLs. And I wouldn't typically think that putting a vendor like Stripe in the URL is probably a good strategy, but Stripe is going to be my payment gateway. Like, the probability that I switch off of Stripe is really low. And I'm willing to accept that as a reality. Some people think, and there are definitely appropriate times, like I have scenarios at work where we're more likely to change vendors because we find a vendor. As a reminder to folks, I work at Doctor On Demand. I do telemedicine stuff at work and do Django at work too. And we're more likely to work with vendors that no longer meet the business's need. We scale out and outgrow stuff. So there is a camp of people that say, like, you should wrap up all your vendors so that's purely an abstract concept. And I totally agree with that sometimes. There are other vendors that it's like the chance of us changing is like really slim. And it's possible, but it's a calculated risk, I guess, because by saying that, hey, I'm just going to be Stripe here, it allows me to like throw away all these abstractions that I would try and be creating myself and just recognize that let's just go with Stripe's version of this and embrace it and create less friction for myself. So we've got our Stripe cancel view. We've got it connected to the URL. We should be able to hit this, and that works. And the second one also should work, or did we already change the template name? I did. Okay. So the template name is different, so it fails. Let's go back to the template that's here. I like this one. It's nice and simple. We're going to copy it, and we'll say subscriptions, Stripe, cancel, HTML. And then we'll do paste in that stuff. And what do we want to say on this cancel page? That's the interesting part. Well, that's what I've been thinking about, like wrestling with, of how do I nudge people back to saying, are you sure? Like I don't want to be a jerk, if somebody's obviously thinking about that. I'm also noticing I need to fix the alt text on that other one. So let's save this and return to this because I messed that up. So it's not a woman contemplating time. What is this? People jumping by a trophy. As a reminder, alt text is really, there are lots of ways you can use it, but if it's for accessibility purposes, you probably should be like describing what an image is. So that's why I'm being literal here. Okay. So let's return to this page now and think on this again. What do we want to say? If somebody canceled, maybe I could say, I'm trying to think, like, would it be something like, we understand, or we're here for you when you're ready, or yeah, something along those lines. Again, this doesn't have to be a perfect page. I don't have any customers yet. I don't have anybody just saying like that was stupid. So it's really take a good stab at it and then work from there. So let's just do. Let's see how it looks. Or you know what? Let's try this. Let's reframe this. Maybe let's work from the image first. Find something that feels good, and then maybe that'll drive some of the language that we want to put in there. So let's go back to Undraw, and to start, let's see what they have for sad. I don't know. I'm trying to evoke emotions. Okay, both of those are too extreme. Wow, heartbroken. How about upset? What else what other emotions are we looking? I'm not truly upset. It's like disappointed. Oh my. Let's get all the negative emotions out there. Let's see what they got. Nothing for angry? Come on. All right, well, I guess it's a happy-go-lucky set of images from Undraw, which is probably a good thing overall. What else could we say? Wander? Or that's interesting, like thinking, questions. Those are good. Let's try that. Think. What is this one? That doesn't really, that's more abstract, like you're letting your mind wander, I guess. Well, they call it wandering mind, so that's fair. Think. Social thinking. Art thinking. Maybe unsure is another word we could consider. No, she looks a little like out of it. Yeah, uncertainty, that's probably a good kind of idea. Because that's probably the state of mind. Either someone is like, they're kicking the tires and they're not really serious, or the ones I would really care about are uncertain about things. So let's see what we get if we try that. Uncertain. Or questioning. Wow, that's a terrible word. Too specific. Question. This one's actually feeling pretty good to me. Like, and again, these don't have to be perfect. I just want them to be in the right ballpark. Let's try that. Let's take that and put it in there and check it out. See how it goes. So we'll move the file from Undraw questions to the static directory, and we'll call it questions SVG. And we're on, well, what URL did I actually submit that one to? Hey, Stupak, welcome back. Business is going fine. I've actually been kind of slow on it. So I have some marketing plans, but some of it is like I don't want to do some of them until I have the ability for people to actually sign up for the service in place. They can sign up today, but to sign up to pay would be great, which is why I'm doing this Stripe stuff. But from my spouse's usage, she's been pretty happy. You know what? You were my inspiration for changing this to a dark theme. I hope you approve. So I figured it was time to let all of you late viewers on stream get something that doesn't burn your retinas. There are some things I still need to iron out. Like when I do a search for now, like I did a search earlier for a template view, and like, oh man, that first result there, I can't even read it. It's like the yellow on the white. So I got to make some adjustments. But overall, I've been content with it. Anyway, getting back to this. So what? Oh goodness, what theme? Default. I think it's the default. I tried a bunch of themes, and I didn't like them. I didn't like all of them. I tried Solarize. I tried what's the vampire one? There was some Darkula. There's a bunch of dark themes out there that I went through, and I guess I have been so accustomed. Yeah, Darkula. I've been so accustomed to certain aspects of it that when I saw them, let's look at this one, Challenger Deep Theme. That's pretty good. When I saw them, the one thing that kept coming through my mind was like, I need my strings in Python to be red text. I know that sounds crazy, but I've been using the same theme for so many years that every other theme was like, no, I can't. It's not red text. I know I'm ridiculous, but that's where my brain went. Anyway, we're making, so we've got I'm working on these Stripe flows. We're working on a couple of template views to connect the Stripe session flow. So I'm using the Stripe hosted checkout, which I think is pretty awesome. Like I have to do very little. I just have to send Stripe a price of this is what the person wants to sign up for. It sends them to a page, and they fill in all of their credit card details. And when they're done, they hit OK, and it comes back to the site. And I don't have to do much of anything in terms of, I don't have to, like I've done Stripe in the past, and in the past you've had to, like, when you do your own hosted version, you have to create a checkout token. You have to create some kind of token and send it to them, and a bunch of other stuff that has to be client side only. And I've heard it just got even harder recently with the GDPR and payment intents and EU laws. Like, I just don't want to mess with that, any of that stuff. So I'm kind of sacrificing maybe like fully customized user checkout flow, but for the benefit of having Stripe do all the work. Same thing with I believe they have a customized like billing portal now too, where I won't have to do any of the actual like billing management, so people will be able to deactivate their account and all that stuff, and all I really will need to do is respond to the appropriate webhooks. Pretty excited about that, but I'm not there yet. So we're working on this cancel view. It's the other half of the session, when you said, nope, I actually don't want to do this right now. And I'm putting together the other template, and that's going to be where we wrap up this evening. So we're trying to get through like what image goes with that, what's the copy and all that. So right now, what is the alt text for questions? It's like people touching a giant question mark. Okay, just being literal. And yeah, the other bit that I want to make sure that I have right is the subscription URLs that I actually, okay, it's got a valid URL to go to, so we can check this out on the local web server and see what it looks like. So Stripe, cancel, where we want them to go. So my idea here is, okay, you're just not sure yet. Okay, that's fine, no problem. So then what can we say in the language to actually convey that message well? And I'm thinking of something like, we understand, we're here when you're ready. So I don't know, I'm going to put it literally. We're here when you're ready. Yeah, there I'm trying my best to avoid like super optimizing this page, because my thought process is I don't have any users yet, so there's nobody here to tell me that the page is dumb. And it's it's only a page that people will get to if they've gone through the whole flow and then they decide not to. Like, this is pretty far down the list before you actually get to this page. So I just want something that mostly works. And let's see how that looks. So we're here when you're ready. And then I also want to think about the fact that like my audience here is homeschool families. And for some homeschool families, asking for money it's kind of a tough thing. Some of these families are huge. Some of them are doing this for homeschooling for financial reasons. Yeah, this page is not for if they cancel their subscription. That's the confusing part. It's for if they cancel the session to sign up. So like when you go to the hosted session to sign up and you say, actually, never mind, I don't really want to pay for this right now, and you come back. So they're at that stage of thinking. Yeah. So I want to convey, like, that's why you pick the question mark. It's like, okay, you're not positive yet. I get it. It's fine. So I think what I'll have them do is they have other options to get out. So what I want to say is, we're here when you're ready, and say something to the effect of, when you're ready to sign up, just you can return to the page, or the call to action that I want to have at the bottom here is more of a go back to the page you were just at that had you picking between monthly and annual. So if somebody's like, I want to have a fighting chance to maybe get them back into it, of like, well, yeah, actually, let me go ahead and commit. I just was clicking around because I didn't know what to do next, and now I know what I'm doing. The probability of recovering from that is probably pretty low, but that's okay. So I'm going to yank all of this stuff inside of this tag and put it as the title as well, which y'all can't really see from the stream, but it was missing. So I'm going to put that there, and I can see it, and here it is. So there it is. So we got the tag title. Yeah, I agree. The last page didn't really need that because, well, I probably should have put it there anyway. But you're right. So let's just, while we're doing that, let's put it here, MB8 on that as well. That way it should give it the extra breathing room that it deserves. There we go. It kind of pushes it just out of the way. And that should help make the call to action a little bit clearer. So I'm with you there. All right, what can we say as the actual copy? We understand that that seems patronizing, and I don't know if it truly seems patronizing. How do I relate to people that say like, you're not ready? Copy on stream is really hard. That's what I've found. So we'll go with something that's okay, and I'll run it by my spouse, and she'll be able to like say, that was stupid, don't do that. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I like that. How can I bring that in? Yeah. Let's see. Making the right choice for your homeschool is tough. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that idea to a degree. So like it's kind of like maybe I can borrow something from the about page. It's like I have this information of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I can probably pull from that. And now I'm looking at this. I don't actually know that. I don't want to. Well, I'm getting distracted. Sorry. When is that? Yeah, I wanted it to feel like a letter. Yeah, it's exactly the sentiment I was going for. It's like this is a personal note from me to you as a user. Like this is built by me, and I'm not some nameless company. My name is Matt. You know, here to support, and like this is I'm doing this for my family, and I'm hoping that you can come along for the ride. Cool, glad I nailed it. So getting back to this. Oh, that'd be fancy. Although my handwriting is terrible. I don't know that I want my signature on there because it's just so bad. Maybe I can use some cursive kind of font. All right, let's get back to this for a second. So making the right choice for your homeschool is tough. When you're ready, you can pick your subscription. Yeah, I'm just going to go for something. It's going to be lame, but it'll be good enough. And let's see. Check out. Say support. What do you mean? Pick your support. Pick your plan. Plan is the word I used earlier, so maybe that's better. All right. Check out. Oh, okay. Yeah. I like that. Check out the plan choices. See how that looks. Sometimes I can't really get a good handle on this until I see it rendered, and then I'm like, ooh, yeah. So this is going to come back to a page that I haven't designed yet, which is right now it's just a couple of buttons that say monthly and annual, but here's my thought on that. I'm going to have something, I'm probably going to recycle this pricing block and change the links here and maybe say checkout and then have some copy. I'm not going to use the word pricing. I think that people aren't going to resonate with that by the time they're ready to actually pay. I guess I haven't really walked through the whole flow of this. So let me back up a little hot second and talk about where I'm going to have this. So when you are a trialing user, I think ultimately what I'm going to do is when you're getting to like the last week of your trial, I'm going to have some kind of banner that persists. I'm doing this like on the screen, like you all can see it. I'm being dumb. So above here, but below the nav bar, there'll be some like persistent banner that says you got like a week left, and actually show them when their subscription expires and or their trial expires, and then direct them to the right page. The other place I'm going to do it is on the settings page, which is like super basic right now. There will be another box that says kind of acknowledges their current account status and directs them to the right page. So there'll be a couple different ways to get to a subscriptions URL that I've got. And this thing will say like, sign up for, to continue using the service, sign up for one of our plans below. And the plans below will then be one of these highlighting the same value that I was trying to demonstrate here, where you can sign up for monthly, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, but you can also sign up for annual, and but there's really no difference between them. And I want that to be very clear. Like, that's why I have the exact same language between them, what's side by side here, except this one has this one extra item to say how much you save. So that's my thought on what's going to go there. And that would replace this content and just be not a lot on here, and take them to the checkout, and then they'll land ultimately at either that success page or this Stripe cancel page that we're working on. So that's the overall flow. This is like the first time I've actually said that out loud, but that's the plan. And so this thing right here, where it's linking them back, will take them back to that subscriptions page that was, again, going to be some variant of this, and then they can think about that. Making the right, is it tough or it can be tough? Let's try can be. Because I don't think it's tough. It's like, if it's been helping you for 2 months, it should be a no-brainer. But I'm admittedly very biased. Then we say when you're ready, you can pick your plan. And let's change this to a URL that we care about. And so this is going to be the subscriptions index. Whoops. I did it again. Subscriptions, plural. So there's that. And now let's check it out. No. I haven't actually hooked it up to the gateway. So I think this version of the page is probably good enough. Again, I don't have any users telling me it's crap, and I don't have any data to say you're losing people. Yeah, if they're on this page, they have used the product, they've gone to see, you have to get pretty far to get to this page, because they've seen that their trial is ending, they've gone to the page that shows the plans, they've clicked one of the plans, the monthly or annual plan, which takes them to the Stripe page, which I'll show you in just a second, and then they click the go back button. There's a crazy set of circumstances that have to get them here. Yeah, that's a good call. I could actually, I like that. There's a support email that I can put in here. I'm not going to wire all that together tonight. I think I'm kind of running out of steam and running out of time. So, but I do like that idea. So I'm going to put a little to-do in here, and I'm not going to commit this code tonight. Wow, I can't even type HTML tags anymore. That's where my brain's at. So link them to support. That's a great idea. Thanks, Tupac. And ask why not. Cool. Very good. So this feels good enough. Let's go back to the Stripe gateway and connect them to this page. And then we'll be there. So this is the Stripe cancel. That's what I'll call this. And it's the reverse on subscriptions. I'm going to type the S this time. And it's the Stripe cancel is the route. And we're going to put it right here, Stripe cancel. Okay. And since I don't want to go all the way through the session checkout this time, I'm going to actually run the test case for this. So I do have a test that would run this stuff. I just haven't been showing it because it's not very exciting. There's the Stripe gateway. This will actually execute this line. It mocks out the actual calls to Stripe, which is what I want, but it'll run that reverse, which I should have run before, but it blew up on me last time. Okay, so those two links are going to the right place, and I think we're ready to test this out. Again, I'm going to just because I don't always trust web servers to load the right thing. I probably should trust them more, but just to have absolute peace of mind that it's working, doing that. Let's go up to the URL and drop everything from here. And now we're going to go to the monthly, and I click that, and that one was faster that time. Last time I did that, it was super slow. So I'm gonna definitely, when I get down to that template that is sending people to Stripe, I need to put in loaders. I need to disable the button so they can't spam it and click it many times. That's another problem that could happen. All right, so where does that cancel thing show up? It shows up in one spot. It's right here. So if I hover over it, you can see back. I'm looking at it right now. It says, you can see it in the corner. It says 0005000 subscription Stripe cancel, but this will fail when I click it because it's going to HTTPS and I'm on localhost. And so it's going to time out because that doesn't work. But I'm going to let it time out, and then I'm going to drop the S, and we'll see that it went to the right place. But yeah, that's the only spot that even shows up. Maybe there's a scenario where payment fails and there's other UI that comes up. Yes, they do. So I was talking about that earlier. I don't actually want to do, I could embed it, but Stripe has made this stuff a lot harder recently with privacy laws and stuff. That there's something called, I think it's called payment intents. I could do it, but there is more to the flow that you have to add. Like they can, I think, and I'm in the States, so I don't actually know this for certain. But my understanding is with some of these laws, like some of the banks in mid-transaction could like ask somebody to re-log into their bank account or however they're paying for something and verify what they're doing. So the flow is a lot more complicated. And that's my understanding. I could have a misunderstanding of the whole scenario, but I'm opting to just let Stripe handle it. As you can see, there was on that page the colors. I set the branding color things. No, that's actually, so that would be an EU law thing. It's GDPR. Oh my, I used to know what GDPR stood for. And if any of you are Europeans, I doubt it because it'd be like crazy early in the morning. But it's the General Data Privacy something. It's laws that say like you have to be careful with privacy, and I think there's also, it might not even be GDPR. It might be new laws in the EU related to banking stuff. I don't really know all the details. I just know that Stripe got harder than it used to be. And wow, okay, I screwed that up with that paragraph, but overall, I think this is the right page to send them to, and I like the flow. I like letting Stripe do the management. The other part of this that I'll ultimately wire up is the billing page, which I haven't done yet. I'm just coming in here and fixing some of this padding stuff while I'm thinking about it. Let's do MB2 and MB8. And refresh there. Okay, that's about what I want. So we'll say, yeah, this is, I think that's really going to do it. Link them to support to kind of give the people an opportunity to ask or explain why they don't want to sign up. That seems totally fair. I'm also probably going to eventually do the same thing for those where their trial ended and send out an email, say like, hey, what wasn't working for you about School Desk? I'd love to hear it so that we can try and fix that for the future, that kind of thing. So I think that kind of wraps up where I want to be tonight. I do appreciate the feedback, Supak. That was really helpful. Sometimes I don't fully feel like I'm working in a vacuum. Clearly, I'm chatting with y'all on most of these streams, but having some design feedback is good. So I appreciate that. Next time, what are we going to do? We're going to, what else we got? I think there was I feel like I'm almost done with where I want to be with the checkout flow. But there's this last little bit here that when you create a session here, a Stripe subscription, if you don't do anything, will start, boom, right then. And that's not what I'm promising to my users, because I want them to have a full 60-day trial, and then I want them to sign up their subscription, the free trial, to continue all the way to the end, and the subscription start from day 61, basically. And so in order to do that, I need to tell Stripe that their trial, they're not going to get charged yet until the free trial ends. And you do that with this trial end attribute that you pass into the subscription data. As I was reading the documentation, there was also some crazy stuff in there. I don't really understand this, but the trial end data that you want to put in there has to be at least 48 hours in the future. So there is going to be this really weird little window where if somebody, do I ask? No, I don't ask for the credit card up front. So this is the sort of the strange part. Is like I have to defer the trial stuff on the actual Stripe account until to kind of coincide with the trial that has started when they sign up. So day one they sign up, they have 60 days from sign up to get going, but I don't create any of the Stripe stuff there. And I guess I could. I actually don't know if Stripe will let me create a subscription in a trialing mode without the credit card. Maybe they can. I don't know. So my strategy here is going to be put in this trial end so that it maps up with the end date of their trial, and then charge them at that moment, and hope that all lines up. So that's like the last piece that I think needs to go into this checkout session creation, is this logic to do that. I really wish I understood this 48 hours, and so that's going to lead to probably some weird cases for people that are checking out on the last days of their trial, and I'm sure those people will exist. But I'm hoping that it'll be smooth enough that they are like, okay, I get it, it's within a day, and either don't notice or okay with 1 day of not having a trial. After that, so this is creating all that data, but we need to actually make the webhooks on the other side that Stripe is going to call the service back with a webhook, and we need to fill in the data that actually changes their account. So there's an account model that's associated with each user, and I need to change their account to switch it from the trialing status to an actual active status. And that's something I want to do from the hooks and not from the success URL, because the success URL is like anybody could figure that out and just like, oop, I want free school desk. Let me go to the success URL that people are sharing, and it signs up their account. So it needs to be coming from Stripe to configure their account properly. And I think that's where we'll focus on. DJ Stripe, the library that I integrated at the start of this process that has been unrelated to any of this work so far, has all of the model data from Stripe in my database, but they also have a system for easily hooking into Stripe webhooks. So that's the strategy we'll use. We'll use the decorators that come from DJ Stripe. It looks, as best I can tell, pretty easy, which is awesome. It looks like a decorator that you add and basically say this is a Stripe webhook, and you pass in which webhook you're going to use, or which webhook you want to react to, and then the body of that function can process the payload and do whatever it needs to with it. That's the plan. I'll take this video content and put it up on YouTube as usual. So if you missed anything, you want to check it out, please do. And likes and comments and all that stuff are appreciated over on YouTube if you're checking it out later. So hopefully y'all enjoyed what we chatted about tonight. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.